of the Murrah bombing on April 19th, 1995. May we always remember those who perished that day and those who were forever changed. We must also remember the danger that unbridled hatred poses to all of us. We hope that our music will remind you of the importance of kindness, open-mindedness, and love in the ever-ongoing quest for peace. before that festival, the tragedy of 9/11 happened. In writing this piece, composer Arnold Sherman stated that Song of Peace is a reflection of how the world has treated peace almost since the beginning of time. The gentle old Latin tune, Dona Nobis Pacem, is given a harsh, angular treatment, representing the acts of needless violence and terrorism that plague the world on essentially a daily basis. A lamentful original tune intersperses. Finally, out of the cacophony, Dona Nobis Pacem returns, sweet and true, signifying our eternal hope that peace will prevail and endure. If you know this old tune, please feel free to sing along, even singing it in the round. If you remember how, our director Silver will cue you when to start singing. Thank you
You
so
win the
much.
prize so far for the best singers. That was awesome.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for lending your voices to that piece. That was a goosebump. Kevin McChesney was moved to craft this arrangement based on the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi by the mass shooting at Columbine High School in April 1999 and other acts of senseless violence. At that time, he distributed it at no cost. He encouraged handbell ringers from across the country to ring it on Sunday, April 20th, 2000. He hoped to have 50 choirs participate. As word spread, more than 2,000 choirs requested the music and joined the effort. Through donations from participating choirs, Kevin donated $3,000 to a school violence prevention project. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Meditations on the theme of peace comes out of an idea composer Derek Hakes had in his early 20s. He became fascinated with the idea of musical cryptograms, ways to spell out ordinary words using only the A through G letters of the musical alphabet. As the idea evolved, he discovered the word peace musically spells itself out almost naturally. Using a French system where H equals A, I equals B, J equals C, and so on, the letter P was assigned the musical letter B, making the word peace spell musically as B-E-A-C-E. For roughly 15 years, he had this 5-note theme. Over the years, as the world became increasingly more violent and perilous, the idea of this theme returned to Derek. He felt God urging him to do more with this theme idea. Yet he had no idea how to make this 5-note theme into more. Then he heard it in the Latin phrase, dona nobis pacem, and the final puzzle pieces began falling into place. While the original 5-note motif is a central theme in this piece, Derek also wanted the Latin word for peace, pacem, to be featured, representing those voices who are crying out for peace. At the end of this piece, these two motifs come together. Derek is donating all royalties from this piece to the organization Seeds of Peace. This organization teaches young children around the world how to end the scars of hate and violence and instead harvest and spread the message of peace. You can find more information about them at seedsofpeace.org. Derek states, in this time of uncertainty, the most important gift we have is each other. Let there be peace on earth, and indeed, let it begin with each of us. It is time to give you a chance to give back. We will be passing a basket for donations. There are QR codes in the program for the Oklahoma City Handbell Ensemble General Fund, the Oklahoma City Handbell Ensemble Bass Chime Fundraiser. There's more information in the program on that. And the OKC Memorial Foundation for those who wish to donate electronically. Those QR codes in there. Any cash donations will be split evenly between these organizations. And thank you very much. An elegy is a poem or song expressing feelings of grief, sadness, or loss. Hart Morris of Coweta, Oklahoma, composed this piece for the Tulsa Festival Ringers and the Oklahoma City Handbell Ensemble for this season's theme and our joint concerts. Hart said, "Surely all of us who experienced the horror of April 19th, 1995, remember our feelings and emotions as we watched the news of the carnage and experienced incredible sadness in the ensuing days. The 168 lost lives are a constant reminder of how fragile life is. I am honored to have been invited to write a commemorative handbell piece for this concert, and I am very grateful for that privilege." The dedication line at the top of page 1 reads, "Commissioned by the Tulsa Festival Ringers and the Oklahoma City Handbell Ensemble to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Alfred P. Murrah bombing in Oklahoma City, to honor those killed, those who survived, and those changed forever." Hart Morris went on to say, "It is my hope that as you listen to it now, you will remember the terrible toll the bombing took on the families of those we lost, and the damage all such acts of terror and hate do to all of us, and that we will resolve to do anything and everything in our power, individually and culturally, to keep such things from happening again." Gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside. This African-American spiritual dates back to before the American Civil War. With the repetitive nature of this song, excuse me, there are many verses, most of which suggest doing away with the troubles and strife in this world and moving toward harmony, equality, and peace. Join us as we're going to lay down our swords and shields down by the riverside. Ain't going to study war no more. How Can I Keep From Singing is an American folk song originating as a Christian hymn in 1868. The lyrics were attributed to a woman simply listed as Pauline T., with the original tune written by Baptist minister Robert Lowry. It was not originally a Quaker hymn, but they did adapt it as their own in the early 20th century. Its message of resilience and perseverance in the midst of troubles and strife endures. My life goes on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I catch the sweet, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? This piece opens and closes with the singing bell technique that has been featured in several pieces this season. The melody floats above the ethereal drone, echoing the sense of hope that this song portrays. In 1893, English professor Catherine Lee Bates had taken a train trip from Wellesley College in Massachusetts to Colorado Springs to teach at Colorado College. The sights along the way and the majestic view from nearby Pikes Peak inspired her to write the poem she titled Pikes Peak. It was published 2 years later in the 4th of July issue of the Congregationalist and was retitled America. Samuel Ward composed the melody to accompany the lyrics to the hymn Materna in 1882. The hymn was not published until 1892. Bates' poem fit the melody perfectly, and the combination was entitled America the Beautiful in 1910. At various times since then, there have been efforts to give this song legal status as the national hymn or our national anthem. Although those efforts have been unsuccessful, America the Beautiful remains a popular and beloved patriotic song. Arnold Sherman crafted this arrangement in 1995 for the 20th annual Hudson Valley Handbell Festival Conference. We thank all the wonderful churches who have served at concert venues this season. St. Paul's Lutheran Church for the use of the 6th octave bass chimes. Southern Hills Baptist Church for the use of the 7th octave bass chimes and Beats flat tube handbell. And First Baptist Church in downtown OKC for serving as our home base. Most of all, we thank you so much for coming tonight. Thanks to all our ringers as they, through blending together to prepare such beautiful music, demonstrate the importance of working together in harmony. The musical play Oklahoma first debuted on Broadway in 1943. It was based on Lynn Rigg's play Green Grow the Lilacs. It was the first musical written by what would become the powerhouse duo of Rodgers and Hammerstein. Although it's centered on a love triangle between farm girl Lori, handsome cowboy Curly, frightening farmhand Jode, and the antics of Ado Annie, it also depicts the conflict between the farmers and the ranchers, encouraging them to be friends. The first run of the play ran for an unprecedented 2,212 performances. Oklahoma had several award-winning revivals and national tours, and was adapted into a hit movie in 1955. Many high school drama groups have done this play over the years, and it continues to be a favorite. You may recall that Oklahoma gained statehood in 1907. In 1935, Kingfisher's Harriet Parker Camden wrote a song entitled Oklahoma, a Toast. That became the first state song. It was very reverent with lyrics about sunflowers and cotton fields. And, well, anyway, George Nye, a young legislator at the time, introduced legislation to change the state song to Oklahoma from the musical in 1953. And now Oklahoma is the only state out of all 50 of them with a song from a Broadway musical as the official state song. Again, thank you so much for coming.
you so much for coming tonight. Please feel free to come up, greet the ringers, ring a bell, ask questions. We're just so glad that you came tonight. Thank you for sharing your evening with us.